let's continue our route and our router. Before that, I just wanted to mention I updated PHP Storm and they did a recent release, really nice, with a simplified UI. So, you know, PHP Storm before, it was looking a little bit more complex with a lot of different options everywhere, and they changed to a much more simplified UI, a little bit like how Chrome came as a browser with really simplified UI, not a lot of settings visible. Well, it's the same with PHP Storm. So that's why you might see a difference from this video until the end of this course. I will use the simplified UI of PHP Storm. Anyway, for you, maybe you use VS Code or a different IDE, a different text editor, a different code editor, so it doesn't really matter. Before to continue exactly in where we were in our route, I added some comments. So again, like I said, and I'm so sorry if you were a little bit confused, but again, it's always nice to know what feature has been released from what PHP version. And like I said, enum is PHP 8.1 and match since PHP 8.0, not PHP 8.1 like I have said earlier. So it's 0.0. Just so you know, I added some links. You can have a look if you wish. It's always handy. So PHP 8, match, and that website, it's really handy because they describe really in details, much more than what PHP.NET does, the purpose of match and the benefits of using match. Not always, but sometimes the benefits of using match over switch statement. Obviously, the readability is one of the main benefits you will have. It's shorter, it's easier to read, and it's less verbose than switch. And then our enumeration. And finally, before we continue, as you can see, our enum has been declared after, so after, like here, after our match. So here we are calling our enumeration, but the enum hasn't been declared yet, and PHP reads our file from the top to the bottom. So if I attempt to run my server now, it will be a little bit an issue. You will see why, because our enumeration hasn't been declared yet. So 127.0.0.1, the port will be 9000. Let's run this, and I will just go, or maybe we can even go to our Insomnia. So Insomnia is the software we have used earlier. It's you know, it's similar to PHP Storm to run very easily HTTP requests. And here you can see user action not found. Interesting. It's because our user action enumeration has been declared after. So I will move this just above. So I can even take the comment. So at least I take everything. Perfect. And I will move this above here. So in our user.root.php, and I might rename to roots with a S to make it consistent with roots.php, that one we have. So we'll just rename that one first before we forget. So I will do refactor, rename, and it will be roots. And normally our PHP Storm is smart enough to rename it also in roots.php, and yes, it did, as you can see. Alright, So now I can paste it here, our enum, in user.roots.php. After the require ones, I have my enum, and then after we are calling our match using the enum. So now we can request again the resource. We have a different error, that's normal. On different array key, user ID. Let's have a look. It's because I think we cast it, and that's why we have an issue with our null coalescing. I think I did a typo on the name. Null coalescing operator. Perfect. We have an issue because we were casting it and then it didn't work. It was using the casted one, but at the same time that one wasn't defined. So if I remove this, oh yeah, now it works. However, we have too few arguments from the constructor of user. If I check where do we create here, we are creating our user, the user object, but here you can see we have a lot of arguments. So for now I will just mention them here. I will just hardcode them. So hardcode them, normally it's not recommended to do this, but for now the values for user, so to do remove the hard-coded values from here. For now we are just going to do this. After we might change how our user class will be working. We might change the way our user class will be defined. So for now we'll just set name, and then here to be email, and then finally it will be our phone number. So just set a phone number. Perfect. And now that's it. So let's request again. We might have another error. Yes, remove must be a boolean. Oh, you see, and the none was the return type. So we have an issue with our return type. Why remove here? It's because I'm requesting the action remove, as you can see. So if I remove here, if I remove the action, it will be the default action, and I will have another error normally. And yes, I do, but that will be for later. So remove, you see boolean, but there's nothing returned, so we'll just return true for now. Default value, perfect. And if I go back to remove, oh yeah, you see it works, that one works. So now let's fix the get response. So get response return value must be type string, but array was returned. So let's have a look. Here indeed we are returning an array. An array for create, I think it's for the create one. No, for retrieve all, it's an array indeed. We won't return anything actually. We don't have to. The best would be to return a response. So let's do response equals, and then we can do return JSON encode response. Let's do that. And here create void. Oh yeah, let's do, probably we will return again the user, so it will be self, let's say. It will be the object itself. and then it will be, so here for now we do return this, perfect, like that, array, and here I can just say self because it's the same object, you know, user, I don't have to mention user, self is the same. Update, again it will return also the user object. So for now we'll just do return this, so we won't have any error with the types, with the return types if it's incorrect. You see here self retrieve, so we do also return this, and probably it will be I believe later it's in a, we will see after how we'll do it. Let's keep like this for now. User, it will be retrieve all, and all of the users will be in an array, and that will be it. And then we return the response, perfect, and then we have our match. And again, if you check in JSON API, it's nice to follow the JSON API specification, and there are a lot of rules. We will also use specific HTTP codes, the HTTP code, so it's like the numbers we return. So if I go HTTP status codes, like for instance when we create a resource, it's 201. If we don't give any response, it will be no content, then it will be 204. For instance, when sometimes if we delete a resource, although it's always handy and it's always recommended to return a response, but if you don't, you will return 204, 201, that will be like to create a user. So when we create the user, we send 204. You see, for removing there, I mentioned as an example 204. But we see exactly what we'll do, and here, for instance, that one, retrieve all, it will be send 200. And yeah, that's the HTTP status code we are going to use. And I suggest you to have a look on the JSON API specification. It's a specification I have been using for quite a while. It's a really good one. It's really important to be consistent in our API, especially in our API specification, the way we give back a response of our API, the body we give back. So the response is this one, what the API gives back, but also the body, like what we accept in our API to be received. And this is why some people decided to create a specification to make APIs, RESTful APIs, more consistent. So you have the JSON API specification, and I put the link here. That's our get response. So we are pretty much there. Let's request again. You see now I have an empty array. If I do action equals create, that will be name, email, and phone number. You see why? Because when we go here, create, it will return this, and this will actually have the properties name, email, and phone number. And that's the ones I have mentioned there, because we encode after what we receive from the object. So it will encode the properties of the user class, and this is why we have here Pierre. So name is the property of the user class, name, email, and phone number. It's these ones, you see, name, email, and phone number. I will actually fix a little bit the indentation, so it will be a little bit easier to read like this. Perfect. Beautiful. So create, now we can see the same for retrieve, and actually for retrieve, user ID, yeah, it will be 0 by default. So if I go to retrieve, action equals retrieve, and in retrieve I will also probably I will set a user, so the user ID, we can just, yeah, we will add it back. We can probably not too sure exactly how we are going to do this, but it will, maybe I will have here a property public read only user ID, and there for now I will do, because it will be read only, let me see, maybe I will do a private one, private, and it will be an integer user ID. This user ID equals, and I will have a setter probably. This is just for testing anyway. So we'll add the user ID here, and now if I do user ID equals 2, let's see, so retrieve user ID, so let's see how it works. It says, oh yeah, of course, let's change user ID integer. We are going to cast, we did earlier, but it will probably probably here I will do user ID, and I will cast the user ID like this, or maybe I can do, if it's not null, I will do like this. I will do a ternary conditional operator, and here it will be, we cast it if I have something. So I won't use the coalescing operator anymore, but I will use the ternary, so I can just cast it in there. Conditional operator, perfect, and there I have this one. So if it's not, oh yeah, I need a question mark. Perfect. So let's have a look now. Beautiful. That works, but I don't have the user ID yet, because it's I will just have to change so I set that one, and then I will probably, if I change to public like this, let's do that. And now I have my user ID, you see, because it's public. However, we will have to change the way it works later on. Well, that's not a problem. It's because here we don't have a database yet, but it's just for an example. If I change the user ID to 2, perfect, to 3 or to 2, you see, it gets updated too. And I can even have read-only here as well. Why? Because if I assign it only once, I can have read-only. So read-only works only when the class property has been assigned once. So we cannot reassign it, but we can assign it for the first time, because indeed the first time it doesn't have any values. So read only, it's actually, if we do that, we assign it for the first time, so that will work as well. Let's test it. And you see, I still have user ID 2. However, now, if I do this, user ID, and I will assign it with a different value, even already PHP Storm, our code editor, it's mentioning cannot modify read-only property. And if I try it, I have an error, because read-only property, it says cannot modify read-only property user ID, because I'm modifying it. But here, the first time, I don't modify it. I just assign the value for the first time. The same as we did in the constructor here, with the class constructor property promotion. That one. Alright, that's it for this video. In the next videos, we will see how you can create a DAL. DAL stands for Data Access Layer. How to create a database. We will speak about the different status codes, so we will implement them every time we are creating a new resource. Every time we send something to our API, it will give us a nice, beautiful response with the relevant HTTP status code. We will also see how you can create different endpoints, and later on we will see how a frontend will be able to speak to our backend API. See you in the next videos. I would like to share with you how you can send data to a specific endpoint of our API. For instance, we want to create a user here. Well, in our API, so from the client has to be able to send some kind of data. For instance, it will be a JSON object with my name, so my name Pierre, my date of birth, the city where I come from, the city where I live, the country, some information we want to send to our API. And this is located in the body, or we can say in the payload of our endpoint of the API. So here, for instance, I will have resource user, action create, and there I will have a body, and the body will be generally JSON, and there you see I will send some data to that specific endpoint. So this is a payload in the API specification. A payload is actually a little bit different with a body you would have in an API. So a body, to summarize, in an API specification, a payload doesn't include the headers. So the headers is, for instance, you would have a JWT token, you would have the encoding in UTF-8, you would have a lot of different settings. So usually you do application, JSON, or the charset encoding, and you'd have also some metadata information in the header. And the payload is the wrapper. So the wrapper of the API body. So the payload is just what we send. And in our case, what we send, well, it will be only the information. So like I said, it will be name, and then we would have first name and so on. And now, so let's go back to our code. And here we want to take this into account for the user creation, for instance. So there, I will just probably go get response. Let me see, maybe, because here you would have the body, like the payload, and there it will be like data, so it will be probably user data, and that's the user data. So it will have to match with our class. Probably we'll have, well, first I believe it will just be an object. So I believe there we will see what what we'll type there. So in PHP, you can also have the object type PHP. It's a bit generic, but it will make sure that it's an object. So if we go here, object, since PHP 7.2 support for object data. So the object, you can see, oops, I think there are not a lot of examples there. If I just type PHP 7.2 and I do object data type, let's see, we might just go there on medium here, for instance, and there is an example. Oh no, it doesn't really show, and it's funny because I think it's lowercase only. You see, it's lowercase. There was a mistake in the medium post, so it's object like that. That's perfect. We will just use that one for now. That's the data, and there we can leave as payload, or it could be post. It could be post body or something like this, but I will leave it as, I will just do actually post or user. Let's be specific, user data, or it will be post body, because it will be more like the post body. Let's see, after we might change, but writing payload there doesn't look right to me. It's usually what we send from here. That's a payload. It's here. And what we send to the API, but not inside of the API itself. And so here I will do post body equals, and then we would have file get contents, and here I will do PHP : // and then I will have input. So what is that? Well, it's the PHP stream input. So if you search here, you would see that's the PHP protocol, and it's to access to the so input and O for output streams. In our case, we want the input. We want to retrieve what we sent to what we receive from the API. So we sent this to the API. So name, here I would have first name, last name, and so on. And we want to get the body, the payload we send to our API. And for doing so, we have to use the PHP IO streams, the input. So we are, actually, I suggest you to have a look on this documentation. If you want to learn more, it's on php.net manual and then wrappers.php. And so for us, we are going to use the file get contents. It's not rocket science, it's simple. So that's why I don't dig further there, because it's just the stream input and the output. Usually you need more than the input one. For instance, in our case, to get the payload of the body of the API we receive from a HTTP client or from the front end, and then we do post, again, $ post body equals, and here we have JSON decode, because it will be sent as a JSON encoded, and also from our client, from our front end, it will be already encoded as a JSON object. And this is why here we do JSON decode post body, and then we can add a post body here. Decode, I think actually it's an array. It might return value of the JSON, value true, false. Right. Sometimes it might be an array instead of an object. So create. So I have to make sure. So let's leave it as empty for now. or maybe mixed. We will use the mixed type of PHP. So basically it allows a lot of different combinations of type, but it's still better than not having a type at all, because at least we know, oh yeah, it's mixed. So that's it for this video. I will do the same for update. I will also add post body for the update endpoint, the update one. So the update is when we do update here, like this, update. And there I will just quickly show it to you, the mixed data type in PHP. It's that one, mixed pseudo type, available since PHP 8, and it allows everything as shown above. So string, integer, float, boolean, null, array, object, callable, and resource. That's perfect for us, because when we look at the documentation here, JSON decode, we are sure it returns mixed. That's it for this video, and I will show you how we can go further in the next video. Hello and welcome back. Let's continue our API, and in this video we will do some endpoint validation, data validation from what we receive from our endpoints. The first thing I would like to do is to run our PHP server. Apparently my PHP storm, it's a little bit slow, but in the meantime I will show it to you. So we want to make sure it's a string, and the same here, we want to make sure it's a string, same there. So for doing so, we will use a PHP library for doing the validation. Oh, here we are. So we can now start, and I will do PHP S127.001, and then it was 9000. Oops, perfect. So again, if you have a doubt, you can always check here. And yeah, so now our server is running perfect. And here I would like to show it to you how we can download our PHP validation package. There's a really good one I have seen very recently, and the name is Respect Validation. You can tap that one on PHP package composer, so packagist, and I will just look for the package, and this is the one we are going to use. So how we can easily install a package? Well, just doing that, just doing composer require respect, and then validation. So respect is the name, like the vendor name, and validation is the name of the library. At the moment we already have composer, so it will be quite easy. We don't have to do anything. I will open this tab in my terminal, and I will just execute this command. So composer require respect validation. Oh, that's not the right one, so I can even here type composer and require respect validation. You can press enter, and we can wait. Always it's downloading other packages, other dependencies it needs, and now it has been downloaded, so we can use it right now. So I will go to the documentation to show it to you a little bit, all of the validation you can do. It's really powerful. Like, you can do literally so much. You can validate a lot of things. For starting, when we receive the request, so it's in root. So in our router we have root.php and user.root. So it will be somewhere here, and we can add a new folder in our endpoints, probably Let me see. It will probably be somewhere in the endpoints folder. So if we create a file, because it has to be really the first thing we do as soon as we receive a request, before to do anything else, we have to make sure that the data is valid. That's the really very beginning first thing we need to do. First, you see here we are looking for the request we receive, and if it's create, we use create, and then we are calling each method, which is an action in a controller. So I believe the validation should actually occur already somewhere there. Or probably in the, yeah, it could be also in the method of the user class. We could also do that. We can always move later. For now, let's already play a little bit around. So in my case, you see there are a lot of different functions we can use to validate multiple data. So if we look at object type, because we receive an object and we have to validate the different types inside. So what I will do first, it will be like for name, we will validate if the name is valid, again, the string. So let me just have a quick look here. Numeric. If I do string concrete API, we have a lot of other patterns we can use. Like here, it's for the username. That could be also an option. And we can also have a look feature guide. With validation here, collection, max validate, so the maximum. I believe it must still be somewhere here. You see, you can just inject different objects there for no white space, length from white to 15, and there alphanumeric, so we are sure that it's either string or numbers. We can just add different validation rules inside of all of. And I even have a little example here. So like if you try to do here, we just have to take into account what we receive. So we receive data, that's correct. The data will be there. And then how do we want to validate? So now, as you can see, I just removed what we had in the create method because we will start again, but this time we will write the correct validation, not playing around anymore, but really writing the kind of validation we want. So first we want to do the attribute. So I have imported already, like what we had here, validate, and we create an alias here, v. And so here I will do, it will first be first for the first name, because again, if we look to our schema to what we sent, it will be first name, for instance, Pierre, last name, Soria, phone number, which will be optional for now, and maybe we can even have email like this, and maybe phone number to be just phone. So we will do that. First we need first, simply like that, and then here it will be string type, and here string type we need minimum. You can see we have it's a chant validate. So if we do length, and here we can do 2 and 40 or 60 maximum. We can even store that to prevent to have, you know, magic numbers, like to prevent to hardcode those values. It's always a good practice to store them either in a constant or in a variable. For now, we will store them in a variable. Maybe later we will store them elsewhere, but it's always good to do that. It's a good practice, and you will see otherwise we will repeat what we do by hardcoding them, because we also need the same value for last name, because indeed first name, last name, I believe the minimum and maximum length will be the same for now. Minimum, obviously feel free to change it, you know, it depends also of where you are from, and name patterns are different too. So minimum length it will be 2, and here maximum length it will be 60, for instance. Yeah, let's see, let's do it that way. And here we have then minimum length, and there we have maximum length. Beautiful. And now I will do actually I will do schema validation, something like that. And then here again I have attribute, and here to be last. For last name we are validating last, and there again to be really similar, it will be string type, length, and then minimum length, and finally maximum. You see, we don't repeat ourselves by hard coding the values to 60 or to 40 and to 40. No, we just reuse what we stored there here already. So storing the min max length for first last names. We can just write a little comment, although it's optional obviously. And here now I have phone, email, maybe first email, and then I will do email, as simple as this. However, we want email to be optional, and I will use, because attribute we cannot do something like that because we use attribute. So normally we have something like this in with the validation library. So with respect validator, we can normally do it's a static method, is something like that, and then there is not optional. However, because we are already in attribute, we have to use the third parameter, as you can see here, mandatory. But thanks to PHP 8.0, I will use this one, so it will be more readable, and then false, because normally before we had to do that, or we had to do something like, you know, to assign a parameter like that, although that wasn't used at all. But now the nice and proper way is to do that, which has to match with the variable name, I mean the argument name here. So that means if I do this, it won't work. You see, it says no, this doesn't match with the parameter name. So we call it a parameter, a named parameter, or named argument. It's the same since PHP 8.0. So thank you PHP 8. You're amazing, because you make the code more readable, and that's just priceless. And finally, attribute, and here phone number. However, I think phone number is too verbose. I will just do phone. So here I will just rename phone number by phone. And I have it elsewhere. Phone number. No, apparently not. Oh, nice. So phone, and then it will be the again phone. It validates like digits. It doesn't validate much, but it does a job. And again here, mandatory false. So it's like basic validation, but still it does well the validation. Those are not mandatory because by default it's true. If you look again there, by default it's true, you see. So now let's continue here. And is it all for now? I think so. So now what we can do if, because this will return, if I do validate, this one will return a boolean. So here I have to mention the data we will receive from the API, so from the payload, from there. And then if it validates, it's amazing. So I can just return the data. Oops. Data like this. I have changed also this. Before we had self, it was the same class. I have changed also to object. Since PHP 8, I believe that's the same. We have 8 or 7. Well, recently we can use object. I think it's PHP 8, but I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't really matter anyway. And so that's the object type. And then if it's not valid, so return, it will stop there because return statement exits the function and doesn't go beyond this scope. And then here I will create a new, because I could just do, like invalid argument exception, which is the native, the core PHP exceptions. PHP has a few default exception classes, but I believe we can create a new one. And where will it be? So we have user there, which is in endpoints. Maybe there, does it fit well? Or maybe a new folder first. It will be exception. Yeah, maybe something like that. And then invalid, what could it be? Invalid validation, yeah. Invalid validation exception. Let's do that for now. And here we can extend, however, to the one of the default PHP class, which is invalid argument, or maybe let's do runtime exception. Again, all of those classes extends to exception, which is a default one. And I will just import that one, the runtime exception, to make it a little bit nicer, so I don't have to use a backslash like this. And now I can import that one like this. Invalid validation exception. And let's see, it got imported. You can see there. So that's amazing. The namespace is correct. Again, if VS Code or if your current code editor doesn't do the namespace automatically, don't forget to do it. That's important, otherwise you will have issues later on where PHP won't be able, autoload, our autoload file, which we have imported thanks to Composer, won't be able to import the class. You see, that one is also the import for our classes, but it's about, it has to match with the path, the namespace, because we have mentioned this in Composer. Where was it? Here, you see, from there, we map this one, is src, and then after API simple menu, it will be this one. Yeah. So now we can, where are we? Here I can just do invalid data. That's it actually, we don't need more. And yeah, that's all for now. So create now, if I go to user root, obviously now if I try this, it won't work, you see. Oh, my server is down actually. Oh yeah, is it? It is. So let's try again. Now I'm on port 8000. If you are still on port 9000, continue. You see, I have an exception. Even if I remove this. Oh, that's valid actually. You see, it works already for the valid data. But if it's less than 2 minimum length, minimum characters, you see, I have the exception. So we have to catch it. And it will be easy actually. We will do try. And then we will do catch here. So again, I'm in user root now. User.roots.php catch. And here it will be what are we going to do? Invalid? Yeah, let's do invalid exception. Yeah. Oh, maybe I should move that one then. Do I or not? Maybe I will move the exception folders in SRC directly. Automatically with PHP Storm it will refactor this and rename the namespace, but for you might have to do it manually. And that means for me it will be easy now. I mentioned this. It makes more sense actually in SRC because here the root, we are already in SRC as you can see, the user roots and roots. So I have my exception there, you see, now it does that, automatically invalid. And then we imported the exception class. And here I will return an array because we will always do JSON encode. And I will just do errors, what I was testing earlier on a coffee shop earlier today. We'll do errors. I was in a nice coffee house in Seoul, in South Korea. It was really nice. I love South Korea. And by the way, the coffee houses, amazing. Like, they have so many amazing coffee houses. And I was doing some testing for this course. So messages, message singular. Here to be, I will just take the get message. That's the default PHP exception methods, because this one again inherits from runtime exception, which is from exception. And you can see I have the method or the function, if you prefer, get message. That's to get the message of the exception. So let's go back to user.roots.php in SRC folder. So here I have this one, message, and then I will do code. Why not? And here get code like that. I think that's it for the array. Perfect. Oh yeah, of course. I'm a little bit confused with sometimes when you switch to different languages, such as TypeScript and then PHP, you get a bit confused. It's not colon, it's just the arrow like that. And now that's done, you see. However, it gets a response from here, so I have to assign actually instead like this. And then it will return. If we have another exception, however, it's nice to catch all of them. Maybe we might get an exception from somewhere else. So I can always do exception. And then I will do, oh, it will be the same actually, really similar. So I can just add it here. Oh no, it won't be from validation. It will just be
just be errors actually, like response equals, and then I will do I will just do get message, something like that. Perfect. And here we will also later on we will actually I can reuse the same. Sorry, I'm thinking, yes, I can reuse the same. I can do that. So we mentioned we want both. I will just import this one, exception. So you see I have this one there now on the top of the file of user.roots.php, and it means PHP will know it's either that one or that one. We just do one pipe, not two pipes in this case, and then it's like a bit operator there. And later we will send the correct HTTP status code. So to do, send a 400 status code with headers, but that will be for later. A little bit like what we did, I think it was a little bit like what we did here in headers, you see? A little bit like that. We will do the same, however, this one has to be before. Actually, it has to be like that normally. And then here, oh yeah, sorry, and there, no S. So let's test it. Let's see how it works. Invalid, you see? I have the invalid message, amazing. And if it's valid, it works. If I mention a phone number, empty, it won't work. That's not valid. Now if I do offer to, if I do like this, it will work. For email is again optional. If I do this, it won't work. If I do this, it won't. If I do that, it does. And now if I change in our validation, if I just do, you see here I can just mention, also I can use a named argument. Well, this was just an example anyway. So now if I change the validation, like I will just do here, later we can move it elsewhere, this kind of validation logic. Validation schema. And now if I change the mandatory, if I remove it, it will be mandatory. So if I remove email, it won't work. And if I move it back, it does. So fantastic. You have done a great job. Now we already validate one endpoint, which is super exciting. Alright, so here I have missed an argument. We have missed an argument for the update method. So let's add one there. You see, you will just add here post body, because we'll have to pass some data inside of that function. Obviously, we need the type mixed. You see there, I did the mistake. It's easy when you do TypeScript to use the same syntax as TypeScript for the type. However, you have to remember in PHP, the type is before and you don't need the colon. So you just need to do first a type and then, $sign post body. Because in TypeScript, usually when we switch from one to another, we tend to sometimes do the other syntax with one of the other language. Perfect. So let's keep it that way. Update. That looks good. Here I can add a to-do comment, just so I remember that we have to implement the post body inside to call the DAL. So the AI that will be for later, the data access layer, and to update the database. And here we have remove. Let's also use the same for remove is a little bit easier, because when you remove a user, for instance, we just need the user ID. So let's do that with remove, and then again let's add a to-do command inside. So we'll have to look up later on for that user ID in the database, and if that user exists, well, we will be able to remove the user. And then, yeah, retrieve. I will just change the type here, because it will not be an integer, I believe, for the user ID, but it will be a UID, a grid. So the long ID, which is like it's a string. You will see later, but we'll use a UUID for that. So let's change the type. Just add in the comment so you know what we are doing. And here, yes, string, perfect. And then that should be fine. Just before to continue, I think it's an excellent time now to initialize our project with Git. So first, if you don't have Git set up, I suggest you to install Git, and then you have to set up your name and your last name. All of those information are stored in your user directory, depending if you're on Windows or on Mac. Mac and Linux, it's actually the same in the same location, so it will be in git config. You will see for me, I have my first name, my last name. I also posted a sample git config on my GitHub. So if you go to Gist, and my GitHub is ph/7, and so if you go I will just show it to you. If you go to gist.github.com/ph7, and you will be able to see this git config, except my name and my email. So this is what I have. I have also some aliases just to be a bit quicker, although I don't use them when I do a Udemy or a online course, because I'm aware that the majority of the students don't have them. For me, it's just to be quicker when I work. I mean, when I do, my own work, but I don't do them usually. I don't use them when I do some screencasts, some video courses like this one. So that's what I have on my git config. Once it's done, once you have your SSH key set up, again, please have a look online. So usually on GitHub, on GitHub. Yeah, by the way, the GitHub documentation is really nice. It's one of the best, but usually on Mac and Linux it's the same architecture. So it will be in your user directory, and then .ssh, and then you have the config. This is the algorithm method, the one recommended nowadays for SSH encryption. It's the cryptocurrency used for SSH, and then we have the public key, and yeah, pretty much that's it. So in my case, if I do a git init, by default the branch will be master. As you can see, I tried to make my terminal a little bit bigger. Hope you see. Apparently I cannot really increase the size somehow, at least not on PHP Storm. I don't see an option. resize it. And then if I do git status, you see I have these. I don't want to commit the idea. That's from PHP Storm for IntelliJ, and from IntelliJ I know some people don't use IntelliJ, so I just want to ignore that one, and also the vendor one. How to do that? Again, I will create a new file in the root folder. The name will be git ignore, and I will just add what I will add vendor, and then I will add idea. Again, you don't need a / there, a trillion slash, and a / at the beginning. I like to have one at the beginning, however, so we can know which ones are files and folders. But again, because especially on Linux architecture, a file and a folder is the same, and Git is based on Linux architecture. Even if you're on Windows, it's the same. You don't need, you can just do that, or you can do that, or you can do that. It will be the same. But for me, I like just to start by a / just as a convention, I would say. For me, I think it's more readable that way. More readable. The composer.log normally should have it, but for me, just for now, we'll just ignore it, so it will be just easier for this course. It's a good, well, you don't have to have it in your commit, but it's always good to commit composer.log, at least, especially if you work with other people, so you know they have exactly the same version, or if you install on a different machine later on, you are sure that you have exactly the same version. You lock the version number, exactly that number, that version, but you know, every time you install, you do some updates with your packages, that the composer.log will get updated. And for me, for this course, I just want to ignore it, so I have added to them. You see, because this one is a file, I don't start with a /, but this is again just a convention. I will just group vendor and composer all together because they are from composer. So here we can just do id config folder, and then I can do dependency files. Perfect. And then I can do git status. You see, now I have only those, so I can just do git add, and then here we do initial commit. Perfect. That's it. At the moment, we don't push our code, we just leave like that. Alright, so before we go any further, I would like to install a package, indeed, for sending the correct HTTP response. So for me, I would like to do HTTP, and then I would like to do like set status bytecode or something like that, and then I would like to do like 400, or you know, maybe using like another library for sending the number within a constant, so it will be like HTTP status awk, and here it would be bad request, something like that. I want to be able to do something like this, and for doing this I have built 2 packages, and actually if you would like to learn about those 2 composer packages, I have also done 2 videos. However, it's available on my YouTube channel, so if you go to YouTube PH7 programming, if you go PH7 programming, you will be able to see them like this, but that's, you know, it's different from what I'm teaching you right here, so that's why I have just done 2 videos different with this Udemy course. There is more like casual videos where I teach you how to build those packages, and now in our case we can install the package I have built and the name of the package. So I was looking, I have some issues with the internet for some reason, so it will be if you go to the project here, if you do composer require and then ph7, which is a vendor name, that's actually me, and here it will be PHP HTTPS, PHP HTTP, not HTTPS, HTTP response header, and you will be able to install that way. And now we just have to wait a little bit. So again, the package is that, where is it? It's that one, and we will install, that's the package I have. Oh, there's something broken. State update. Not be updated anymore until you fix them entirely. Then click on update. I'm not too sure what happened in there. It's the first time I see this kind of error. And the other package I would like to suggest you is the HTTP status code. This is to avoid having magic numbers, so to avoid us having to hardcode the HTTP status code, you know. Those ones, it's okay to hardcode them because it's unlikely they will change, but it's more readable to have a constant name. Like 200, what does it mean? Oh yeah, it's HTTP status awk, you know. 201, what does that mean? Oh yeah, it's created. And again, you can have a look on Wikipedia, HTTP status codes, list of HTTP status codes. It's that one. And there you can see, like, you can see awk, you can see created, and so on. And for us it will be for now 400 bad requests. So I will also install that one, composer require, and just HTTP status code. That's the name of the other package. I will open a new tab because my internet is a little bit slow. I will go to the directory, and there I will add the same, and let's just wait. Oh, actually, I think I know why I had that weird error. It will be a good learning experience for you. The package I have just built for this course, well, it has a error syntax in the composer.json. So I will just open that package because I have it locally, and if I go to composer.json, having a quick look there, I think I have resorted everything. I have moved the author object array, and you see I have forgotten a semicolon, so that's why it didn't work. So I will just do a commit there. I will open a new tab in my terminal. I will zoom a little bit more so you will be able to see. This one you don't have to do. It's just to show you when you have some errors. But now just pause, don't code, because you will install that package. You don't have to do any changes. I'm just fixing the package you are about to install. Fix, or maybe I will do hot fix. Add put back, comma, in composer.json file. Perfect. And now I can do a git push, and here it will be fixed. I will just have to release another version about that package, because otherwise it won't be there. Actually, I can do it now. So if I do a git fetch, it has, at the moment, I have, if we do this git tag, I have two versions. I will quickly add another one, git tag, and it will be version 2. And now I can do git push and git push origin
to push the tag. Perfect, like that. Alright, so now it has been pushed. 1.0.2. I will just quickly make sure Packagist has the new version, and yes, you can see here I have the new tag 1.0.2. So that means Packagist has the new tag version, and I don't see any errors anymore. So that means it works. So normally now we can make sure it has been correctly installed. If I go there, that is the other package, and here I will just do, because if I look to my composer.json file, I'll just close that one, and I will go back to our project, and here I have this one, and that one, it has to be 0.2 because 1.1 had an issue. Oh sorry, just 1.0. I will just update that one. It got the previous version because 1.1 got an issue, so automatically Composer actually didn't install the faulty, the one with that bug in the composer.json file. But I will still update to the newest version we have just fixed. So here I will mention that way. So I'll just do that. Composer require maybe composer install, and then here I will mention the version 1.2 or 1.0.2. Composer update. Oh, I do have an error here. Normally, let's have a look. Composer mention version update, the semicolon, because with npm or yarn it's with a @ sign, but with Composer it's a little bit different. Yeah, the semicolon. Let's do require. Let's go for require. Oh. Alright. Let's have a look there. So update version, yeah. Let me check if I do this. Oh yeah, that one works. So the card didn't work, and let's have a look. But now I want the card because this is important for the future updates. Anyways, now we have, you see, that one and that one. So that's perfect. I will already create a commit here. I hope you see well. I will just try to make it a little bit bigger, and then git commit and I just do m flag for message, and here I add install, or maybe add and the other one, that one. Perfect. And now let's try to use that package. So for doing so, here in user.roots.php, I can just import that HTTP class, set status, set headers by code, and here HTTP. I will use HTTP, just HTTP. That's the other package, and there it will be bad request, status code. So you see I have the new imports there. That's the new two imports. And now I
I have just sent a 400 like this. So send 400 HTTP status code. So let's have a look to see how it works. So let's run again our server 127, sorry, or 1, and then 8,000. Let's go to Insomnia or Postman for you, and then it should be working. So if I do something invalid, you see now I have the HTTP status code 400. So if I change that one to like maybe internal error, for instance, I try again, you see, it works perfectly well. So well done, that's great. And that's 200 by default. We can also replace, we have another one. If we go to index.php headers, here I have this one. And actually in my package, in the package here, the one I have created for this course, I also mentioned about set content. So we can just do HTTP set content type, and we can mention application JSON. Exactly like that, you see? The same. And now I can remove this. So now I can test again to make sure it works. It's still working. Amazing. So yeah, that's really good. And now git status, I can add this one, and this one, and here send correct HTTP status code thanks to my package, this one. Perfect. Just so you know, okay. Beautiful. And now that's great. So we have that. In the meantime, we can, because now we cannot push because we didn't add any remote. So I suggest you to go to GitHub and to create a repository, because in the next video we will create a repository together. We will add a Git remote and we will be able to push our code to GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab. So now if I go here, new repository, in my case I use GitHub, but it's pretty much similar for Bitbucket or GitLab. Here I will do menu API, or I can maybe just reuse the same name, API simple menu. Perfect. API simple menu, I will do API simple menu API. Maybe I'll do the same, simple API food menu. Okay, crash course about building an API, a PHP RESTful API course available on Udemy. Perfect. So again, that's pretty much it for now. I will do private for now as well, and we'll just try to find the URL of my Udemy profile. It's this one. I will just paste that one. Awesome, and I will paste that one, and I will add it. But later, because now I'm not able to edit. I will just paste there for now. So here you see you have the remote. This is what we'll add. You have the same with Bitbucket or GitLab. You do git remote, add origin and the address, and I will do that now. And now I will do git push u is not, you don't need it, but it's for upstream. So git u option flag. If we look, it's like a flag, we call it as a flag. So u for upstream. If I do git help, git push help, I should be able to see it. So you where are you? Here you see set upstream, it's there. So now I will do, I will just paste again what I had here. Let's do that. Now I have added, as you can see. Sorry about that. And now I can do git push u origin main, and let's just wait. Perfect. It's now done, and I will user. Okay, I will refresh. Awesome, I have it. And like I said to you, you can add your URL. For me, I was about to add my. Why didn't work? Not too sure. You see, you can just add this PHP API, some tags. Now it's private, so it doesn't really make sense. Food API and so on. And this usually are just our antique environment. We don't need that. Really CCS packages. For now, we don't really need, but yeah, let's keep like this. And yeah, that's already, now our code is saved on GitHub. That's already a good start. And it's also nice to browse the code, especially on GitHub. It's really convenient. They also have a nice GitHub mobile app, a native app on iOS and Android. It's really convenient. So yeah, here we are. So we still have a lot of work to do, but we have already done a good progress. Alright, so now here what I will do, I will add also some validation logic for the update endpoint. So the update endpoint is when you go here to update, action update. At the moment we don't do any validations. That means it doesn't have, we can just add any kind of data. It will always be valid. And actually for the update one, it will be the same than for this one. So what I'm going to do is to take this code and I will move it somewhere where we can just execute this. So it will be a bit easier that way. It will be like a kind of a refactoring, and it will be much easier for us because we receive the data, and it will probably be a validation class. So what I mean by a validation class is just creating a new class. Here maybe I will add a new folder to be validation, because the good part is that we can also use the respect validation library for validating other things, not only our API, but we can also validate everything we add to the database or any other kind of validation pretty much. So if here I do
I will do user validation, and there it should be, I'll just paste that, or I will first create a method to be public. Public, let's create a constructor first. Public function constructor, so in PHP is construct, and there to be mixed data, and then here I will add public function to be user fields, maybe create creation, probably something like this, and there to be return, and from there I will do return schema validation, and here to be validate. So to return a boolean, can create maybe to be creation schema is, yeah, like this is creation schema valid, for instance, and there to be the same for the update, so like this, update schema valid, and from there we can just do return because it's the same. We can do return this creation schema valid, same schema for both creation and update. Perfect. So there, now what I'm going to do, it has, oh yeah, indeed, there we need the data, so this is where I'm going to use, I will actually use this kind of syntax, public, maybe not public, to be private, property, private, oh you never used. So this kind of syntax is a really interesting syntax of PHP promotion constructor, that's the one, property promotion constructor. It's a really good syntax in PHP 8. It helps you to write less code. Normally you have to do this data equals data, you know, it's a little bit verbose, and then before we had to do that, it had to be like this. Now, instead of doing that, we can just mention the modifier visibility, the visibility modifier. So the visibility modifier will be private, and that's it. And then I can just remove this and remove that. So normally, as you can see here, you have a lot of documentation. You see, I just add public, so the access, access visibility access, and inside of the constructor in PHP we know directly, oh yeah, so I have, you know, it does in the behind the scene, it does, it will do this automatically, it knows, and it will do this, and it will do this. And actually I have done a video about it. If you just search for me, so constructor property, if you look there, PHP property promotion constructor behind me. You will see I have published a video about it, so I really suggest you to have a look. It's really nice, it's really handy, it's a good syntax. There's also something really similar with TypeScript, if you are familiar. Anyway, and now I will do, here I will use that one to be data there, so that's our data, and same to be that one, and yeah, pretty much that's it. So how we are going to do this, I'm going to use, let's see how I'm going to use this. So we do, you see, same as we have done there, we have already discussed about it actually. And now I'm going to do this validation equals new, and that would be, later on we can inject, maybe we can use a dependency injection container, but that could be for later on. ADIC. So now I do new validation user. So it will be validation user. User validation. Oh, it's funny, I don't have namespace there. That's funny. Normally, automatically, PHP Storm should add one. So the namespace will be this one. Plus, because we are in validation folder, it will be validation. Awesome. So now should be able to add this. And I will add another one to be public. No, sorry, to be here to be private string validation. And then here we have this validation. Maybe I can do user validation. Perfect. And because we need the data, no, actually, sorry, I'll just remove that for now. Let's keep that there. And here I will do like this, data, and that to be is doesn't have to import it, obviously. Why doesn't want to be imported? Perfect. So now I have that one I can remove because we have moved it in our user validation. And here I have the user validation. You see, that's how we do a kind of a refactoring. And then is creation schema valids like this. Awesome. And I can reuse the same validate schema. And then I can do the same here. Is valid return data again, and here to be object similar to there. As you can see, and if it's not valid, again we can throw an exception like that. Post body it will be, and here to be is update validation. For now, maybe later we will change it to something different, but for now let's try this. And if I update here, you see it doesn't work. And now this works. So that's great. And if I add a phone number to update, if I do no invalid phone number, it will be invalid, yes. And then if I do like something like this, it should be valid. Yes, it is. Beautiful. And for update, for retrieve to validate the user ID, we can also do something similar. So there we can do like is user ID valid, and there to be much smaller, I mean to be really short. And for the minimum and maximum length, now we can store it now as a constant, private const minimum name length. That makes more sense now. And here private const maximum name length, it will be 40, for instance. And now we can just remove this. I will make that comment up there. Perfect. And there I do self minimum length, and then self maximum. Perfect, like that. And same here. You see, now that makes more sense to do it that way. Perfect. So for the name, for the ID, sorry, user ID, it will be they have a UID validation. That's nice. The respect. So if you go respect validation and we search, something else I wanted to show it to you is for the phone number, how it validates the phone number. It's actually pretty simple. Just so you know, you see it validates that way. True and false, but it's nice to see they have a UID validation too. That's really good. False and then true. So let's do that. Let's use that. And there we will just do UID. I think we can also do like version 4, but usually it's always UID before. But if we do like version, I think it does that way. But normally it's always UID before. So let's do this one. Let's see. So now we can do that, and then we can return. And here I can do retrieve user, and I can do user ID validation equals new user validation. And here to be user ID. So actually it's even simpler. User ID is not in the body indeed. So it can even be just like, we don't need attribute here. I can do V, and then I believe I can just do like this. I don't need to add it here in this class, then I can just do we don't need a method for validating the UUID because I can just do this, and then I can do that way. Validate user ID. If it's valid, we can do this. User ID equals user ID, and then I can do like return this. And if it's not valid, I can do user if not valid. So here it will exit, it will stop the function, the method, it will exit the method with the return statement. But if it's not valid, then it will continue, and then I can do again return this like that. And here I can allow also to have null with a question mark. Perfect. So now should be as simple as that. Then that's really good for the retrieve user ID. Really simple. Respect validation PHP. Let's have a look. And yeah, you see, as simple as this, I can even just do, I don't even need to store it in a variable, I can just do like that. And I will just take this, I will paste it there, just like this. Really simple, oops, like this. Nice. So let's have a look for retrieve. And I need to have the user ID equals, and I can, at the moment we need a user UID. We need to install a PHP library to have the user UID set by default. At the moment we don't, but look, does it work or not? Resource action retrieve. Actually, I'm not sure it works. That's null. And here, it might not be working actually. If it's valid, if I remove the version like this, let's try it again. It doesn't initiate user ID. Yes, that's correct. And then user ID. Let's have a look at the value. 0. Oh, okay. That's funny. So not valid. It will be not valid now. Yes, I have a exception because a PHP doesn't want me to assign to a string here. It has to be integer or null. But it's not valid. Let's do. I copy that one. Let's have a look here. No, still not valid. Validate UID. Apparently it doesn't receive anything. I think let's see retrieve user ID. It doesn't have it all yet. It's because user underscore ID, that's why. So now if I do user ID, I forgot, this should work normally. Technically it will work. Well, still it has to be integer anyway in my class. So let's go back to user ID will be a string here, and here original there. So user ID, and there user ID is actually a string, otherwise to be null. So we can actually we can use the coalescing operator normally. I can do this null coalescing operator, so this one otherwise to be null, so null coalescing operator PHP. If we look here, the null coalescing operator, you see it's a really nice one, available since PHP 7 I think, and it's a really handy one, you see. So now if we go there, hopefully it will work. And I will do the same for remove here. This. And here we do else through move to be invalid validation exception, invalid user UID. Perfect, like that. And if I will actually move the invalid validation exception inside of our validation folder, it makes more sense. So I will move that one I will move the whole folder, the exception folder inside of validation. Again, if you're on Visual Studio Code, you might have to do some other changes. In my case with PHP Storm, it does the update automatically of the namespaces. You can see exception now. Oh, no, I didn't do it. Invalid validation. What's funny? Oh, I have to update. It didn't update automatically the namespace there. No, it didn't. So if I go to refactor, rename, and here we do validation. Oops, validation. Okay, so what's a valid name? I will have to do it manually actually. I believe, unfortunately. So if we look here, do that. You see now I need validation there. Oops, like this. Perfect. And then let's have a look for the other one. That one. Perfect. I add again validation. Awesome. And here. User payload. Perfect. Invalid user. Just updating the message. User payload. Send. And then here, invalid user UID. I will also throw an exception for the retrieve. Instead of setting to null, I will do like something like this: else for new invalid validation exception, invalid user UID. Perfect. So we can just move that, and because I have the return, I don't need to have else. So we call this, like when we do if else, that's less verbose and less readable. So we can use the guard, the guard, what's the name again? Guard clause in PHP to return instead of having if else. So when you use the guard clause, it makes your code a little bit more readable. I explained this actually in the code.js code. If you look here, the guard clause approach, I'm explaining actually how we can make our code a little bit cleaner. So I suggest to actually to have a look about the guard clause principle. It's a really good one to make your code more readable. So here in this case, instead of doing else and then I do this, because I have already a return statement there, and so if this is true, it will stop there. So the return statement will stop right here. So I don't need to have the else, you see. So that's why and this is called the guard clause approach for having our code clean. So that's done. So now let's have a look again here. You see how the user the UID, and now if I change the user ID, that way it's invalid and it says invalid user ID. So it's perfect. It works. Amazing. So now we can commit everything. So we just stop the PHP server, or actually I don't even have to, because we can just do it right in the terminal. I just want to do here, we'll just add a comment about using the null collecting operator, because it's important to know. So available since PHP 7, and then we can see all of the changes we have done. We have moved our class, the exception class, we have moved it to the validation folder. If I go to here, I have it in the validation folder. As you can see, we have changed the user ID to be a string, so it will use UUID. We will use later on a PHP library to generate UUID. UUID is more secure than increment integer, so that's why we are going to move to UUID instead. Again, we will find a library to generate UUID. If you are familiar with JavaScript, by the way, you probably already know the famous JavaScript UID before, but you have the same for PHP, something really similar we will use. And then, but that will be for another video. We have updated the form, the indentation there, indentation there, and then we have moved most of the schema logic into a validation, user validation class, which is that one. And then we are doing this for the UUID. We are validating the UUID. This one we have moved the namespace path. We are using the null collecting, and we don't have to cast to an integer anymore for the user ID get parameter, because now we are using a string, as you can see. So that's also really good. Oops. And now finally that's it actually. So I can just commit all of these, and I will do my commit. So we do git commit refactor code and validation for cleaner and more readable business logic. Perfect. And now I can just do a git push, and we can just quickly try for the remove. So if I go back to user roots.php, we didn't test the remove. So this one remove endpoint. So let's try it just to make sure it works too. So remove true, perfect. And now if the UUID is invalid, I have an error. So yes, also it works. So well done. Alright, so now we can install our UUID package. It will be this one. So YAMC UUID. Just go on GitHub, or you can just type UUID PHP YAMC on Google, and you also have the packages page. You should have it here, that one, and you can quickly install that one. So let's do this. Let's go in our terminal. I will zoom a little bit, and here you can paste that. Beautiful. And then I was looking on the getting started page. So this is what we have just done in our terminal. You see now it has been installed. And by the way, if we check on in our composer.json file, we should see it's there. And now we will be able to use it like this, namespace, and then we can just check that right away. So if we go to user, there, create, that one we are no longer using these two variables because we have moved everything in the user validation class and in constants. So we just remove this, and there I will do. Here we'll do how will we do it? User ID, and it's just a test actually. We are adding a user ID, and the user ID will be UUID. So let's just import this one. Normally on Visual Studio Code, you will also be able to import that way. Usually in my case, I have to press Command Enter on Mac or Control Enter, and you see I have that one there. Otherwise you can just add the namespace, which is that one. You know, the user ID is there. So let's try, just for testing, we can try to create endpoint. So again, when you go to user.roots.php, we have create endpoint, which is create. So if I go to Insomnia or Postman for you, if you go to create, action create, I click send, it has to be, normally it has to be post actually. Perfect. And to create, you see I have my user ID. So if I do Pierre, Henry, and the user ID is being generated there. Thanks to the class, to the new library we have just installed. So that's amazing. Thanks to this, assign name a UUID to the user. Perfect at this, and yeah, pretty much that's it. So we have different methods. By default, we use the UUID v4. I believe that's the default one. Yeah, so we are using UUID v4 usually, so that's that one we would use. And this is also why in our validation here we are also checking v4. Oh, we don't actually, but I think it's the default one in respect validation. But if you want to mention it, you can use the named parameter, and then you can do 4 because it's an integer, so 4, and same there, but you don't have to normally. That's the default one anyway. And yeah, so we have a UUID there, so that's excellent. So yeah, well done. Now we have already bit per bit, we are adding more, and in the next video we will add a DAL, our DAL for the data access layer. So DAL, data access layer, to add data to our user. We will do that in the next video. Alright, so now we will install Whoops. So Whoops is the package I was telling you for handling the exceptions, and they have a special class for the JSON. This one, JSON response handler. So let's go installing it. It's a nice one. It wasn't updated for a little while, but now again there are many new updates here. May, so only less than 1 month ago actually, which is great to see this. I was using it already like in 2016, and now even 2016, yeah, like almost 8 years ago. And now it's great that I can use it again, and it's a great package. I have used it also for one of another API I have built a while ago, and it was mentioned there. I've used it, so we will do a similar implementation. So if I just search for Whoops, we see we will use also the JSON response handler, and then if there is any error, we'll just initiate Whoops that way. So we will do that. Let's first install the package. So let's go again to our repository if you are not there yet. So API simple menu, and then I will do composer require flip Whoops. In my case, I don't add it as a dev dependency because we will need it on production. And now it has been installed. Oh, first I will commit the few changes I did in the previous video about the DAL. So update user DAL naming convention. So at least I keep it clean. And now we can go to our index.php there, and there we can initiate Whoops. So for doing so, you see we will just do that way. First we call Whoops allow quiet, allow quit, I'm not sure that option what it is, and then we do the JSON handler. So first Whoops equals, so again we initiate the object Whoops Whoops, and then run. First need this, perfect. So, and I will actually use Whoops run as, I will create an alias and I will do Whoops run. I think it's more readable that way, and it looks a little bit cleaner too. And if I just import run, is like, it's a bit weird. I mean, it's a bit hard to understand what's run for. Not weird, but hard to know, oh, oh yes, from whoops. So it's nicer to create an alias. And from there, we can just do push handler. So let's continue here. We are calling the method push handler, and here to be we are using JSON. So in my case, JSON response handler, that will be the one we will use. And that will pretty much be it. So here we do, oops, I will use that one. I will again import it. So probably I will do something similar in my import. I will do use whoops and then handler, and finally JSON response handler alias, it will be whoops JSON response handler, exactly like this. Oops. And there, whoops JSON response handler, perfect, beautiful. And now I have to do new here, perfect. And so I think that's it. HTML, we don't need this. Allow quit, I'm not sure. Allow quit, I'm not sure what's that. We can have a look in the code to quit. So should whoops allow handlers to force script to quit. Yeah, well, that's an interesting one. Let's see if they have a documentation in there. Allow quit, whoops. No, there's not much. I don't see a lot. Yeah, anyways, I will just keep like this for now. And so that's pretty much it. You see, it's really simple to set up. And I go back here, I just remove this. You can test it if you wish, but for us we will just test by doing throw new exception. Oh, I made a typo, and here I will do like this is an error. Perfect. And let's see how good is whoops. So let's send it. Oh, okay, something didn't work. Oh, I think I know. Of course, it has to be after. So let's see. Let's say the exception has happened in one of those files, like here, because there's nothing anyway above whoops. So whoops has to be first. And oh, not found. Alright. So it hasn't been found. Oh yes, I know why, of course. It's because we need the autoload composer autoload first. That's why. Sorry about this. So that way, and now whoops will be able to be loaded. However, it's still not working for some reason. Right, do I need to register then? Register the handler, oh yeah, and you are all set. we need the register method. Yes, we do. And this is probably, yeah, this is probably why it didn't work. You see, that looks really, really nice. And it's much nicer to see that way. It's easy, it's simple. And now it means we don't even need to handle the exception. So here I will mention handle all exceptions and convert them into JSON format. But I will still keep it, but it means we don't even need to use this try catch. However, the error message is a little bit different. But if I show it to you and we remove it just for testing, and I will just remove the exception in our index.php. So our index.php, I will just remove this. And now if I add a name which is invalid, just you see, invalid user payloads. So technically we don't even need the try catch in our user.routes.php, but it's just a little bit nicer there, only for, you know, the validation errors. I think it's just a little bit simpler here because it's less code. So yeah, that's it for handling the exceptions. You see, it's just 3 lines of code, really small, really short. We can even have a look what's allow quit if I do true. And if I will take out, or maybe I will just add an exception. Here we remove actually exception to be only for the validation, and then I will do through new. If I do inside of the try, because it will be only for invalid validation exception. So here if I do exception, and then this is a real error, and let's see what we get from whoops. Yeah, I think it does exit for at some point it does exit, but we don't really it's not really needed anyway to have allow quit, so we can just remove that. Perfect, beautiful. So now we can commit our changes. I will zoom a little bit so you can see better. And here git add, you see we have whoops, we have registered the whoops and JSON response handler. Oh, I don't need the blank space there. I will just remove it. It was in user routes. Yeah, perfect. And then we have removed that because it's not needed anymore. So add whoops with JSON response handler for API response. Perfect, beautiful. All right, so here we are. Now we will install, we will set up our DAL. So data abstraction or data access layout. There are 2 different names. It's pretty much the same. So usually DAL, you would see some online out there. People would say, oh, DLA is data access layout because we access to layer. We access to the database and so on, but it can be also, it's an abstraction. So you might see also some appellations like this, data abstract layer. So for doing so, the library I will use in my case
is PHP beans, PHP red beans, sorry, red beans. It's that one. It's a really good library. We can install right away from there. And it's, if you know what the ORM is, so ORM, it stands for Object Relation Mapping. So if you are familiar, have a look if I can see object where can I see object-oriented manner, the other side. But basically AORM is similar to Doctrine, or maybe if you are familiar with Sequelize, or probably Sequelize in JavaScript, you also have typed ORM in TypeScript, or you have, which one, you have Prisma also in TypeScript. If you are familiar with this, it's pretty much the same. This is what ORM is. It will make our life easier, not having SQL queries, but using PHP, for instance, to make it smoother. So we can start by creating a new folder, and here to be DAL, and I will also install our red beans dependency, and for doing so I will just go here. So you see object relational mapping, that's what AORM is. And I will quickly go here in packages, so you can just also type redbean on packages and type this. The reason why I have used, actually, if you are wondering, I have used Doctrine quite a lot in the past, either for Symfony projects or for standalone projects. But Doctrine is a little bit painful to set up. You need a YAML file, you need a lot of other files to configure everything. Redbean PHP has the advantage to be much simpler to set up, and I haven't used Redbean a lot, and it looks so far a really good alternative to Doctrine. So Doctrine, I like it, but for small projects like the project we are building, our API, I think Doctrine is too big, a little bit too complex, and for you too, it's easier to understand Redbean PHP. So let's install that one. It's been installed, and once it has been installed, we can already here create our first user DAL class, or user model if you prefer. I could have renamed to model. It's basically, how can we call it? It's like it's like a model. So if you are familiar, you have different tiers in an application, and sometimes we have one which will be more about, so one tier is like a controller endpoint, and then you have the DAL, can be also called like a kind of persistence file. We could have called it user persistence, for instance, but in our case it's just a DAL, so let's keep it that way. And here persistence, because it persists the data, that's why usually we can also call it as persistence. I'm installing Redbean here, perfect. So we have it, and that was before the UUID. We have done it just in the previous video. So now I will also do some setup for the MySQL. You probably don't have a MySQL database yet. That's fine. We will install one together. So we just drink a little bit of water. And so for MySQL, we will install php.env package. In a previous Udemy course, I have used the Symfony one, which is a little bit simpler, but I have used that one. There's not really one better than the other one, but since I have used the Symfony.env, now this time I would like to use just the Vocus php.env. Both of them are quite good, but just so you know, this is not really a reason why now I use this one. The Symfony one is also a really good one, but this time we will just install php.env, and I will actually go to packages again. I will search for that one. Let's wait, and I can install this, and now I will just use Composer again. We will install that way. So Composer require Vocus php.env. Both of them, the Symfony one and the Vocus one, are really similar, so it's really up to you. You can obviously use the Symfony one if you wish, because the syntax and the method names are pretty much the same. It's really simple, you know. It's just to load a .env file for the environment variables. You see, the one from Symfony is also extremely simple the way it works, just like this. And in the meantime, while we are waiting, it's been downloaded, or now it has been downloaded already, but we can add a .env file in our main root project, and we can add another one which will be env I will do env.sample. That's a sample one. It's just one file as a sample, because of the .env we won't commit that one, and we will add it in our git ignore. You never commit to the env file because it has sensitive data in there. The .env.sample is the same, but all of the sensitive data has been removed. So here I will do db name, db user, db password, and again, you know, I will do like the value will be something like what could it be? db name, it will be API simple menu, API, or maybe it will be root, and then db user, here to be API simple menu, user to be root, for instance. Here it will be password. You have to change this with your own credentials, and then it will be the name, user, password. What else do we need? Let's quickly have a look. We will use MySQL in our case, host, localhost. That's pretty much it. So you can see, the host, obviously. Yeah, db host. So again here, db host. It will be localhost in our case. And in the env.sample, you see it's the same, except that we remove all of the sensitive data. And now I can even add a comment with the dash, like this, with a hashtag and the base details. That's really handy to add comments. Perfect. So now I will I will go back to the other package. Oops, that one, and the usage. Yes, we'll just do this one. Immutable. Perfect. So let's just load this one, and we will add that one in index.php like this. I hope you still hear me well. It will be where we will add it, or maybe I will do require dir for directory, and then src config.inc.php, and there I will add that one, so config.inc.php. Perfect. Let's just add these 2 lines. Awesome. And that's pretty much it. It has to be immutable. That's correct. And then what else? Yeah, it will be with .env. Getenv is strongly discouraged to be used, so to be done that way. And we can even use require to make sure everything is there and not empty. You see, that's really handy methods we can use. That's why this package compared to the Symfony one, this one is a little bit, it has more features. It's also definitely older, but the Symfony package is actually a fork initially from php.env. Require, and then you can just do, or actually for pwd we can do pass. I think it's nicer. pwd it's an abbreviation, but I'm not a big fan of abbreviation. db user, db name. Oh yeah, that's exactly what we have. So we just rename this to db pass, db user. I will do that way. Wonderful. So this has been done. Here, check if the necessary values are in the. We can just add this. Perfect. Oh, this is optional again. That's optional. And now what we can do is, you can also, if your .env is not .env but a different name, you can use my config. The file name can be different, but by default it will search for the .env file. It's somewhere there in the library of .env. Anyway, let's go back to our library, and now we have this. Now we can also initialize our DLL, so it will be, we can use database, or maybe that one could be in the config, or we could, how we do it, DLL here. Yeah, that's not really nice to do. Yeah, otherwise we can just, for now at least, like to do, could find something winner, maybe. But for now, we can just, in our source file here, we will create a new file, and the name will be, it will be database.inc.php. I think it's nice now to add a config folder like this, config folder, and let's move config.inc.php and database.inc.php. inc is for include, so we know those files have to be included, and then to be config, and here to config. Perfect, that looks nice. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I think everything looks good now. We will do PHP, and then we can add in from there. This actually, where did I see it? For the setup, quick door connection, I think it's there. It will explain the setup like this for MySQL or MariaDB, MySQL, and then we can actually use sprint R, so we'll do like this, and DSN, yeah, so I'll just show it to you. We'll do DSN equals, and then it will be sprint R, sprintf, and then we have DB name, it will be this, and there we do env, and now it will be the variables from the env file. So this is why it's nice we mentioned in the config.inc that we want those to be mandatory. Otherwise we'll have like undefined variable when we do like for the host, db host, if it hasn't been in the .env file, or the person hasn't created, like if you set up the project, download it from GitHub, but forget to rename .env.sample to env, and you forget to add the values, at least here we'll have a nice exception. So it's always nice to have them required like this. And so there I do db host. Now we have obviously db host, but we have db user, db name first, and then db user and db password will be for later. So DSN first, and now we have db user, and then db pass for passwords. Perfect. Awesome. So this is pretty much everything we need. Wonderful. So I will do like setup red bean PHP, setup red bean. Oh, and by the way, just before we go any further, I just noticed the path here, it's invalid. It will be invalid because we are in the config folder. So that config folder, and we mentioned it's just right in that current path. So .env will not be able to find the file name because it's in the source folder, and we are there. So we have to go to folders backwards, basically. So we are in config, and we have to do dir name. We can use dir name to go 1 and 2 stage backward. We can even use the option 2, level 2, because config, then it will be src, and then it will be for us. That should be the path. So we just move that file here. This is a bit annoying. Sometimes PHP Storm is, it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect anyway, but we always find a way to make it better. So you see, when I just make my window bigger, it doesn't bother me anymore with this. And then I will do that, so it's a bit cleaner, and I will just test it. So I will go to Insomnia, or for you maybe Postman, and nearly there I can see, you see there's an exception. It's not valid because it's HTML code and not JSON, but we will fix that later too. Don't worry, we will transform the HTML exception errors messages into JSON format. You will see it's quite simple actually, and there's a really nice package built just for that. So here, not found. So what's not found? We can see, I think it's our database, because it's in the database.inc.php, and it says require, let's have a look, and line 5. So if we go to database here, I think I have to import that one indeed. So I will have to do, I think it's use red bin php, and there it will be that's it. Yeah, normally this should work. Oh yeah, you see, now it's much better, and now this one is found with the namespace, and I will keep it. We can even add a namespace if we wish to keep it consistent everywhere. I will add the namespace, my namespace is there, and the same if I go back to the directory, same for you in Visual Studio Code, to be similar. So there I have my namespace, there, well, for now I'll just keep it that way, and then I have config. I can also add my namespace there, and I will have to import .env, beautiful, that way, awesome, lovely. And there in database. So let's try again now with a few changes we have done. Amazing. So just so we can track the file changes we have done, I will just commit all of these. So the first thing I have done, I have added .env in gitignore. We have added the redbin package. Here we have added the config.inc.php and database.inc.php, there to UID, and there I have storing. I've removed the unused variables, so I'm going to yes, and that's it pretty much. So, and I have also the src DLL and the config, and I will add the env.sample. That's in the files I have. Git add, and then .env.sample. Perfect. So here I will just do, it will be add red bin 1 plus implement. We are implementing it. Implement. Perfect. Wonderful. So that's done. I can just do a git push. Beautiful. Now I will quickly install MySQL. I will use Brew in my case because I'm on Mac. If you use Linux, for instance, you might use apt. So apt-get. But it depends. If you are on Windows, again, you might have to use shortly Windows, or just install MySQL with the executable chocolati, or you have Winket chocolati. I always have difficulties to pronounce that one. Chocolati or Winket, which is the default one on Windows. In my case, and I recommend you anyway to use either Linux or Mac. In my case, I use Mac. So I'll just quickly do brew update first to have the latest package. And then I will do brew install MySQL. And I suggest you to start doing this. In the meantime, we can, let's not waste time, and we can have a look what we have done again and make sure everything looks good to us. We have user here. Now we have the database.inc that looks great. We have db user, db pass. We initiate the red bin there, and then we will create a user DLL. I will use actually uppercase here for the naming. It will be better, and here to be namespace. It will be menu, API simple menu, and then it will be like similar to what we have done. It will be so PS7 API simple menu, and then DAL. Perfect. And there we will see what we'll do. We might have to extend to simple model from Redbean PHP. We will see. Let's see. It hasn't finished yet. It's a little bit slow, but that's okay. Sometimes we have to be a little bit patient, and then we'll be able to install this one, MySQL. Right, so it has finished now, and I can do brew install MySQL. When I did the brew update, we updated several packages, as you can see, Ruby, PHP, and now I had already MySQL, so now I'm sure the version is correct. So if I do MySQL v, if I do v like this, version 8, v uppercase, that's really good to know. And now if I do root and p, now I will just try to do brew services, then start MySQL to make sure it started, because I think it didn't start. No, it didn't. And here I will just do MySQL secure installation to add a password. So validate password command, can use to test, press Y, yes. So would you like to set up a validate password component? Yes. And here I will do to strong new password. It will be, for now I will just do password like I have already mentioned in the env file. Perfect. Did you wish to continue with the password provided? Yes, I do. Password and password, awesome. Oh, do you wish to continue with the password provided? Please press Y for yes. Okay, yes I do. Alright, I believe this is like a loop, so we do N here. No. Oh, let's do it again. Password. Let's try to log in now. If I do MySQL, U, root, P, password. Oh, no, it didn't work. So let's try again this. And using blank password, the password component is installed.
Here's the password for root. So here root, I will just use another one like ph-7 ph-7 with uppercase H and 25. Yes. Failed error. Your password doesn't identify content policy. ph-7, and then I will do Udemy. ph-7 Udemy. Yes, that should be fine, isn't it? By default, my screen has an image. Okay, this is instead only for testing. Would you like to remove before moving? No, that's fine. And then normally should only be allowed to connect from localhost. Ensure that someone cannot guess. No, I don't want to disallow root for now. Or remotely, that's fine for now. Remove the test database. Yes, we can. Reload privileges table now. Yes, okay. All done. Perfect. So now if I do again MySQL u root and p flag, and I do ph-7 Udemy, it does work. Amazing. So let's update right away our password. For you, it depends if you have changed it or not. For me, it will be this one is my new password for my database, and I will create the new database name, database table. Database table. This one. So create database. Perfect. Create database, or maybe I need it's not valid, so let's try with code. It doesn't. I will just use the backtick, maybe that should be fine. Yes. So now if I do show databases, I have mine there. So that's wonderful. So our database is set up. Wonderful. I will just remove this. So now it's all done. We have our new database, and we will now implement the DLL. In the next video, however, I would like to show you a package, a nice package, when we have an exception showing on our response for our API, which might be something quite common when we will deal with the database. Sometimes a user is not found, and we might throw an exception or something different like that, and having the HTML code like we had before is not good and it's not valid, and it might crash later our client, a client, HTML, JavaScript client, React Native or React client. If it expects only JSON format and it receives HTML code, it won't work and it will break it. So that's why it's nice to be consistent, and let's do that. Let's handle the exceptions and let's convert to a nice error exception as a JSON format. Let's do that in the next video.